Hello and welcome to the Coffee Chat Show with me, Jody Misiak. And I hope you're having a wonderful summer. Or maybe you're like me and you've been kind of feeling a little sucky, like what I'm calling suck mode, or things just don't feel great, or maybe you just feel your summer's not going the way you want. I'm going to share firsthand how I've been dealing with the summer, or summer disappointments, and my own emotions that have been coming up lately for me. So for the last couple weeks, I've been miserable. I have been crying. I It's just been really bad. So I'm going to share a story, and then I'm going to tell you some ways, or share some ways that I've been finding helpful of how to get out of suck mode. Because let me tell you, when you're in suck mode, it is really, really, really hard to get out of suck mode. So how do you get out of suck mode? Let me tell you. So first off, it started not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. So this is how long it's been going on. Now, it has been nonstop crying or anything, but for some reason the past two Saturdays have been very emotional for me. So it started 2 Saturdays ago. And what triggered it was the fact that we bought this pool. It's an above ground pool, and I was so excited. We were going to get it up for the weekend. We were going to have a pool party. I had my grandma coming over. And I'm like, yes, it's exciting. We didn't get it done for the week. I'm like, okay, that's asking too much. So I was like, let's do it for the weekend. We'll get the pool set up. Well, it wasn't anything fancy, but just a fun hurrah. That was kind of was getting me through the week of, my mothering task, my business, just everything. And that was my mistake on me, having one thing keeping me moving forward. So there's not a mistake, but a learning point. And so Saturday came. My husband and I, throughout the whole week, actually, we were working really hard on getting things ready for the pool, making sure we had all the things ready. However, we didn't know one thing. There's so many lessons in the story, but today it's about sucking. We're in suck mode. So we get to Saturday, and we put the pool out, and we start filling it. And it's not filling up properly. Turns out the ground has to be super flat. It didn't say on the outside of the box. However, the directions did say it. We're like, oh, our ground isn't too uneven, is it? So we try to find the best area. Anyways, ground not anywhere close to flat, and it wouldn't fill. So I went and I lost it. I lost my cool. I'll be like, yes, it happens to me too. I started crying, and I was very disappointed in the situation. And I was miserable. And then everything I looked around was miserable. My surroundings were miserable. My life was miserable. Everything around me just sucked. And I couldn't see any solutions. Now, luckily, my husband was in a clearer mindset, and he started looking for solutions. So he reached out to people we knew to figure out how we could flatten the ground. And turns out they could come and help us, but it would be later in the week. So at that moment, I didn't want to hear any of it. If it wasn't happening now it wasn't happening at all. I told him to return the pool. And I was just in a really miserable state. Luckily, my husband now knows we've been together long enough that when I'm like this, one, if I need to, I talk and I'll share my emotions, but he doesn't need to fix anything. Now, he was trying to fix the pool situation because that was our sore point. But yeah, emotions were running really high. I was really miserable. And I just felt with those emotions. I just dealt I just was with them. And luckily my husband doesn't take any offense to it. He knew I wasn't mad at him. I was mad at the situation. And there was a point in our life, though, that wasn't the case. And he would have felt really bad about the situation being miserable. He would have felt that as personal. And so that night, we finally like got to a point where I started looking at things nicer. I'm like, we just wasted a whole day trying to get the pool up. So I was trying to get, so this is where suck mode happens. You keep focusing on the suckiness. Like the pool wasn't happening. It's like, oh, then we wasted our whole Saturday. I got sunburnt complete. Like I was like, for nothing. And I kept focusing on the negative. And it just kept spiraling into more negativity. And eventually I had to put like a stop to it. I could see where my brain was going. It's like looking from the inside out sometimes, where I know personally I can get out of it. But when you're in it, it's really hard to get out sometimes. So I just started working through the process, and I think we put a comedy on. I think later on we watched something funny. I was like, I just need to be light. And I called my grandma and said, hey, look, or no, I called her in the morning, actually. I said, hey, the pool party's not on, but so don't worry about your bathing suit. And she was cool about it. She looked at all the positives, which normally I do. But when you get deep into the suckiness of things, it can be really hard to see, one, solutions, to see a bright side, and you just keep digging a deeper, darker hole. So fast forward to the Sunday, we finally put solutions into place. We knew that we were going to have help later in the week. And I was like, okay, I was okay with, I don't like to say the word disappointment. It's like, this is what's happening. And I had to be okay with what was happening because I couldn't change that. And actually, funny story, in between there, I had a sore neck. And I looked up in Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. And a sore neck means being like too rigid, not controlling too much. So I'm like, oh, I am totally trying to control the situation. So I just got to let it be. Let whatever needs to play out. Let the universe have my back. And then things fell into place. Now let's go to, and so we actually had a really fun time Sunday because I let it go. I'm like, okay, it didn't happen. And we just had a good fun time still out in our backyard, had a barbecue, and still made life happen. But let's fast forward. And then the week was fine. We had a really good time. No emotions, going crazy or off the wall. Then let's fast forward to like this past Saturday. And I can't even remember what triggered my emotions. But clearly, this is what happens when we have emotions and we don't deal with them. They come back for some more. And they come back even harder. I'm trying to actually think. I don't even know what was triggering them this time. Yeah, I don't know. Because we got the pool up. Anyways, so something triggered my feelings and I cried harder. I was more miserable. And what it was is my true feelings were finally emerging. So the Saturday before, I was triggered because something didn't happen the way I wanted it to. I had these high expectations. It didn't work out. And a lot of the time, like if that doesn't happen, if something I have high expectations and they don't work out, I'm cool. I roll with it. But something was deeper underneath the surface that I didn't let out that day. So it came back a week later and I was super miserable. Again, I was looking at everything and just seeing my life a mess. And my feelings were showing me that I felt like a failure. I felt like a failure in every area of my life. Motherhood, my business, being a wife. You name it, I felt guilt, or I felt like a failure in it. Like that's the path I went down. I looked at everything in our house. It's like, oh, this isn't done. I'm not a good mom, or this is not done. And it just, you name it, it was happening. And this is when it was truly a breakthrough. So something really cool I read this week was breakdowns are really breakthroughs. And that's really cool. So breakdown is really us processing and working through. So we have a breakthrough. Our body's finally like, enough's enough. Let's deal with these emotions and get to the bottom of it. So once I emerged from the depths of my emotions, I finally was able to see solutions. So like I said, I was literally, I think I actually went to bed. I try not to go to bed mad or angry or upset, but I actually just took myself out of the situation and just was being. And I actually sat down with my husband that night, I think, and we just hung out and watched a show or something, probably something more as a comedy again, to just kind of lighten my spirits. And so again, I felt like a failure. I was looking around things in our house. I would love to show you a picture of our laundry room, except like there's to the point where like I really it's gone out of hand. So with my surgeries when my son was born, 6 months apart, my husband had to do a lot of laundry, and I'm very grateful for that he was able to. And there's parts of the house that aren't up to my standard of cleanliness or organization. So I've been starting to go through the house a little bit more in areas, like I've been avoiding the areas. And then that night, I forget what I was down there for, but I went to the laundry room, and that was another sore spot for me. I felt like a failure because the laundry room got so messy, and there's just so many areas of the house that I've been avoiding because they just gotten so crazy. And that night I finally faced them, and I actually started the next day fixing it. Not fixing it but per se, but like putting energy towards cleaning it up. There's no point in avoiding something, and this is for all areas of life. There's no point in avoiding something, a problem, a mess, and pretending it's not there, because it's just going to get messier. And it's really just figuring out how to move forward. So that next day, I, picked myself up, put one foot in front of the other, and really started looking for solutions. And how I could, it's not even, and it's also going and working with emotions of feeling like a failure. So I'm going to get into that part in a second. But it was picking my pieces up and just getting out of the suck mode. Because the most important thing is getting out of suck mode. It doesn't mean, like, we need to work on our emotions. I don't like to use the word need, but working on our emotions are there and they're telling us something. So what do they need us to know and heal? So that's part of it, but we need to get out of that mode to do that kind of work. So I was so fortunate. My husband knew that I needed a break. I was working, or because of the whole pool situation. Now, I'm not making excuses, but this is where like things were starting to crumble. I took on a lot more responsibilities. Like I was making all the dinners, taking care of the kids, everything that we usually work together on. So he could take all the time and work on the pool. So we were just shifting things a little bit. So anyway, so the next morning he let me sleep in and he took the kids to the park. So I really started that morning off fresh. Because the weeks leading up to these breaks, these breakdowns equals into breakthroughs. And no one was sleeping in our house. Both kids were up all night, like throughout the night. We were all not in our best. So that was part of the emotions coming to the surface, but they were there regardless. They just saw weakness and came up. So, how do you get out of suck mode? How did I get out? And then it's, obviously after getting out of suck mode, it's working on emotions. So I have a list. Let me see. I know this one's going long today, guys. I just feel like this is something that I need to share, because you're not alone if you don't feel like your life is where you want it to be, or, you cry because things aren't going, your way, or you just don't feel like enough or a failure, that you're just not good enough. And I wanted to actually just share that with you today because I want to let you know that I do that. That happens to me too. Part of my thing is really just really opening up the doors and the windows of my life and just show all of me, not always just the good parts, or the good times. It's showing every aspect of my life, because if I didn't work through these emotions, and if I didn't have these emotions, I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I wouldn't be the awesome coach I am. So it's really working through these emotions, sharing them, so you can hopefully benefit from them as well. So how do you get out of suck mode? Sometimes it's ride the wave of emotions, as long as they're not super dark. If they're super dark, reach out to people for help. For me, I know, like, I've sounded really depressed on those Saturdays, and I knew that I felt like I needed to feel them. So this past Saturday, I cried it out. I had a really good cry. And it's just letting those emotions out instead of holding them in. I've had a lot go on. I had my grandma pass away just before July 1st. I'm trying to think. It was just in that week. And there's just been a lot of emotions that are going underneath the surface. And it's just really just letting a good cry out too sometimes. Talk it out. So when I was crying, I also was talking to my husband, like, how much I felt like a failure, that I'm not good enough, and why. And I was just like rambling on. And sometimes that's all we need. Now, if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody about it, or you feel like, oh, you're putting your stuff on them and all that emotions, you can journal. Write it in your journal. Do a tape recorder, or go up into your own room, into your own space, and just talk to yourself. Sometimes that's all you need, is to get your emotions out. And now I put gratitude on the list of how to get out of suckiness. However, when you're in suck mode, being grateful. Hello, Jennifer. So when you're in suck mode, sometimes you can't look at gratitude. You actually can't be grateful. You can't look at things in a good way. So once you get slowly out of suck mode, or you feel like a little bit of relief, then you can start looking for things to be grateful for. And when I was in a really depressed state, I would just even look for, like, I have 2 hands. Like, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful I can walk and see. And it's picking up those little things and slowly moving forward to even more. And remove yourself from people and situations that trigger you. And what I mean by this is, if you know somebody, like, once I was over the weekend, and I was really angry. I was putting that anger onto my husband. And I was like, well, he's just feeding into my anger. Well, I needed to remove myself from the situation just to not fuel any more anger. So, and it wasn't that he was triggering me per se, but like, just I needed to remove myself. And same with situations. But there's some people that just trigger you and you know it. The other one is get off of Facebook. And I don't mean like this group, we talk about positive things, but I mean, don't watch your friends and see what they're doing. Maybe they're, at the beach or doing something you love. When you're in suck mode and people are doing things that are fun and you're like, oh, but why can't I do that? You go deeper into suck mode. Trust me, that's where I was Saturday. And it's not a fun place. So just take a time out from social media. And actually not even just Facebook, like social media. Like I said before, journal, write it down. And this is actually where you can deal with those emotions that are coming up to the surface once you emerge from feeling like a failure or sucking, or, getting out of that dark place. And when you're in suck mode, you can't see solutions. All you can see are problems. So that's why I mean, work your way on and getting out of that suckiness, so then you can start seeing solutions, like I did last weekend, where, I couldn't see anything other than failure and disappointment and anger and everything negative. I couldn't see anything other than that. And all I saw was messes and, years of failures and things like that. So when you focus on when you're in that mode and all that energy is pointing towards negative, that's all you'll see. So it's just removing yourself from the situation, backing up, and trying to breathe through it. Another fun one of, if it's maybe not as intense as the one I had this past weekend, is throwing on some music. When you're in a funk, maybe it's not as intense as the one I had this past weekend. Turn some music on. Read a good book, an inspirational book. Listen to a podcast, or like I have a lot of audiobooks, and just put something on that really inspires you, or a comedy movie. And it's really just taking your mind off of whatever triggered you to get into that funk. And yeah, get off of social media. So I know this was a long one. I'm just making sure I had a lot of notes, because this one was a really big, it triggered me 2 weekends in a row. I felt like I really needed to share. So I know I've been having a hard time these past couple weeks. Now it's mostly weekends, so there's something about my weekends. And I'm going to be journaling. I've actually focused on my practice, my love practice. So I actually have 7 things that I'm doing now, where it's meditation, visualization, affirmations, like just picking an affirmation every day to just kind of say, and moving my body. That's a big one I've been kind of, forgetting about. And so I'm working on all these areas, not working even, just practicing, because I felt that I actually forgot about them this summer. Sometimes we're like, oh, we're good, we're in a good mood, we're in a good vibe, and then practice doesn't mean to only do it when we're upset or angry or emotions or we're stressed. It's there for always, but I kind of lost sight of that. So that was one of my solutions this weekend, is slowing my mind down and really journaling. And really some amazing things came up last night when I meditated and journaled. And one of them is doing a shout out to you guys. If you are having a hard time, because personally, my practice has never been very consistent, being a mom, and I always find life gets in the way. If you need support, let's talk. And I don't mean like, this is not client to coach. This is me saying, hey, let's hold each other accountable. This is what this group is about. Self-love, loving our way through life and motherhood, and really just loving our practice, loving ourselves through that practice, and doing things that light us up. So if you want help, I actually have created a very secret group, and we'll just go there. We can hold each other accountable, and that's all. Like, there's nothing else but support here. That's the only thing. When I was like, you know what? This is a hard thing I'm having. This is a challenge I've been having. Let's support each other. That's really what this is all about. So if that's something that interests you, please reach out. And you can even private message me here, comment, or even email me at info@jodymiciak, MYCIAK.com. And we can really just support each other, because it's a busy time, it's summer, and we can kind of just forget about our practice. And I want to also mention that, because I have 7 things I want to focus on and kind of just bring back into my life. But that doesn't mean that those are the 7 things, or even maybe you don't even have 7 things. Maybe it's just move your body or meditate more. Everybody's practice looks different. And it's not that it's like, hey, I have like a structure. This is what's working for me. Let's do it for you. It's whatever you decide to do, we'll hold each other accountable. So I hope this coffee chat has helped. And I know, again, it's been really long, so I apologize for that. But I really wanted to share, because this has been a challenging time for me, and being in suck mode was not fun. So I'm just hoping that kind of helps people get out of suck mode. So thank you, Jennifer, for being here. And I think that's still you on watching, so thank you. And I just hope you all have a really good summer. And if there are any, pain points happening in your life, please let me know and we can talk about them. And again, if you want to, have accountability partner, Thanks, Jennifer, for the love, and we will reach out to anybody that is available. Let me know, and this is just something I want to do personally, and I think it's all needed. Aw, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, well, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.